What is going on, guys? Welcome to Only Football with Kyle. And I'm Kyle, and we are going to be breaking down the biggest storylines of the week. There's been quite a few that have come out. Some things have surfaced, some things have been discussed, some details have been added. We're going to break the Lamar Jackson thing down, not like we did last time where we just pretty much got into a hour-long debate, which, by the way, I loved every second of. But some new facts have surfaced that we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about the Titans and King Henry trade rumors and how erroneous they were. We're going to discuss many other things here on Only Football, so stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Obviously, as you can see, I'm still in California. I'm still sunburnt. I am exhausted. But as a wise man once said, the show must go on, and I refuse for it to go on without me. So here I am, bringing you an episode of Only Football. So there was an article that came out this week, and I got a lot of notes here on my phone. We talked about the Rodgers news. We talked about the compensation. We talked about kind of the standstill between the Jets and the Packers. Well, the Jets owner, Woody Johnson, has come out and said the team remains optimistic about the Aaron Rodgers move. He says, not the patient sort, but I remain optimistic. So, I mean, is that really a surprise to anybody? You're not a patient sort, a billionaire that's not patient when you're used to getting literally everything you want on a moment's notice. Like if I was a billionaire right now, I could get anything I want like that. Like, watch this. I'm going to pretend I'm a billionaire. I'm going to channel my inner billionaire. I want Jinja in the chat. Jinja! What is going on, dude? Good to see you. LA is good. The sun has been out every single day, and it's been nice. It's been nice. Beautiful weather over here. Not as hot as I'd like it to be, but powerful, powerful sun. And that's a lot better than Seattle, where there is no sun. So I've been enjoying it. So thanks for asking. So it's March 29th, and despite his intentions, Aaron Rodgers remains with the Green Bay Packers. So Rodgers moving to New York will happen eventually, most likely, but it just might take a little bit of emotional fortitude on the Jets faithful. So Woody Johnson is among those people that need to be patient right now. So this is what he said Tuesday at the annual league meeting that was held in Phoenix. He said, I think we're anxious. We're anxious, I guess. We look forward. We're optimistic. We have a plan. We're willing to stick with our plan. I don't think anybody's hyperventilating. So, I mean, I feel like that is about as honest as he could be. There's a lot of emotions here. There's the fact that every night a Jets fan puts their head on their pillow, they truly believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback of the New York Jets. And with that comes feelings of excitement, optimism for the next season. But it's also important, by the way, we're sponsored by Dasani, Coca-Cola products. Maybe one day. That was good. Hydrate. If you're watching this, grab some water. It's good for you. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of excitement, but at the same time, like the deal hasn't been done. And I like I said, I think this is just kind of a game of chicken where two people are driving at each other. The collision point is the draft. And I think the Packers are the ones that are going to drive the longest. And I think if we get really close to draft day and no deal is done, maybe both parties, and this hasn't really been discussed. I've never had this opinion, but I'm going to have it now. Maybe it's possible that instead of the draft day being the deadline for Rodgers and the Jets to come to an agreement, maybe both parties get to draft day and nobody budges, right? Now, Rodgers is not a rookie. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. So there is a chance that the Jets understand the veteran aspect of Aaron Rodgers, so they don't feel like they need him here now. Here's another thing. And I don't know the legality about this, but let's just say Aaron Rodgers has already been given maybe a playbook, maybe some plays to study. My point is this: it doesn't really matter if they've given him plays if he shows up to training camp, because Nathaniel Hackett is going to be the offensive coordinator, and this is kind of a key piece to the puzzle that I think it's easy to forget in this game of chicken that's being played. The Jets feel that the familiarity with Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers, it gives them the benefit to prolong this as long as possible, knowing that they can get on the same page in a couple weeks. Now, if this was a whole new system and a whole new offensive coordinator, there would be a lot of, initiative to get this done as soon as possible. But with Nathaniel Hackett, it gives that little bit of a comfort zone, little warm and fuzzy, if you will. So this is something I didn't think of that I just wanted to bring up. We talked about the Aaron Rodgers thing on our last episode, but I feel like that's a really key part of this whole thing that I forgot to bring up. So I wanted to bring it up now. Now, obviously, we're going to move. I'm going to hit this one really quick. I see Drinjin here. I think their owner, GM, said Green Bay was being irrational about what they're asking for Rodgers. And that is, I think Rick said something similar to that on our last one. I didn't hear that exact quote, but I think I would have to agree with that, because if it wasn't irrational, I think the deal would have been done by now. I think it's possible, and I said this 2 days ago, I said I think it's possible the Packers are asking for 2 first-round picks. And then Rick said, well, they said that a first-round pick wasn't even in the bundle. And if a first-round pick's not even in the bundle, I don't know how it could be irrational. Rodgers is worth 2 second-round picks and 2/3, in my opinion. I mean, look, it's all about winning the Super Bowl. Now, you had a really good draft last year. You had, all these key players with Garrett Wilson, the D-line, Sauce Gardner. You got a young team. So it's not like you're spending all your money on all these veterans to win a Super Bowl like the Rams did and then have to go into a rebuild. That's kind of like F them picks. We're going to win a Super Bowl. And even if we only win one every 10 to 15 years, even if we only win one and have to go into rebuild, some teams aren't interested in that. They want to maintain consistency throughout the years. They want to be the New England Patriots. They don't want to be the Los Angeles Rams. So I would argue that giving 2 seconds and 2/3 is only possible because you have a very young team. You drafted extremely well. And even if you gave 4 picks for Aaron Rodgers, 2 seconds, 2/3, you are still in a situation where you're going to have plenty other draft picks. You're still going to have your first rounders. Your team is still young. It's not time to pay anybody. Like, this is your window. You can afford to do that. So I really don't understand. It's either there is first round picks in this bundle, or the Jets saying that, or the Jets saying it's irrational doesn't make any sense to me personally. All right. So the Bengals and Katie Blackburn is the executive vice president, said Joe Burrow extension. said this about the Joe Burrow extension: we won't talk about it much until there's something to talk about. So, as we went into this last offseason, you heard me mention that Joe Burrow is definitely going to be one of those guys that's in line for a huge payday. He drafted first overall, came in, tore his ACL, missed the majority of his rookie season, rehabbed, got healthy, came back the next season, took his team to the Super Bowl, beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, came back his second year, didn't win the Super Bowl, came back the third year, and destroyed Buffalo in Buffalo, the Super Bowl favorites, and then came in overtime away from beating the Chiefs had there not been a 15-yard penalty at the end of the game. So Joe Burrow is definitely a guy that you want to extend and lock in. Now, nobody had to think about, is Joe Burrow worth paying? And Joe Burrow knows that he's going to get paid. So this is what I want to do. I want to tie this into the Lamar Jackson thing, because I've said this before, and this may come off the wrong way. I don't want it to, but if you have to try to get a contract, like Kyler Murray, if you feel like you're going to scrub social media and you can't even finish your contract because you're thinking in your head, my value is at an all-time high right now, then you're going to try to get a contract. Just like a stock market. Once that stock is at the point where you think it will not go any higher, what do you do to it? You sell it. So when players like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson feel that they have hit that point where they need to cash in, they scrub their social media accounts. They make a big deal about it. We haven't heard Joe Burrow talk about a contract extension at all. Not even a tweet, a golf appearance, nothing. And that's because Joe Burrow knows that the longer Cincinnati waits to pay him, the more money he's going to make, because his value is going to keep going up and the market is going to keep going up. And this is your, I don't know what to call the opposite of a red flag, but this is kind of your surefire thing that you have a real talent at quarterback. When they paid Patrick Mahomes $500 million, $500 million for 10 years, there was no talk about the contract. You didn't see Patrick Mahomes, take the Chiefs logo off his Twitter and make Andy. They got that done as soon as possible. And I just always felt that and I understand Lamar Jackson completed his contract and he's being tagged, so he's not in the middle of a contract. But I think usually the players, and this is just historically, usually the players that have to fight for a contract are the players not worth that contract. And you can look at the history will tell you that. The players that don't need to even mention that their 1-year contract is coming up, those are the ones you want to pay. The ones that literally don't care because they know that they're getting paid. It's not a matter of when, it's a matter of where. So I thought that this story was such a great time to be released because we got Lamar Jackson, who has tried to take on this whole case without having an agent. And I know we've talked about the agent thing a lot, but this is the problem. When you don't have an agent, you know what an agent's job is? It's to make you publicly look like a saint, publicly look like you do everything right. It's like a lawyer. It's your defense. It's the people in your corner. It's the people that protect your image. It's the people that put out statements on your behalf so you can just sleep at night. And it's the people that when you do something controversial that reverse it. It's the people that pay TMZ to take the video down. It's so many things that you wouldn't even think. But Lamar Jackson is in a situation now where he is advocating for himself and he has to use social media to do it. So he's literally watching SportsCenter, watching the debates. And I was watching Good Morning Football this morning, and they talked about how there was, are you worried about Lamar Jackson's injury? And it was so weird because somebody actually said, Justin Fields for Lamar Jackson, would you do it right now? And everybody said no. And that was exactly my point 2 days ago, was that Lamar Jackson is not worth what he's asking to be paid, period. And we could argue about that, as you saw me and Rick did. But this is my point. Lamar Jackson is on Twitter saying this. I don't remember me sitting out on my guys' week. So this is, before I read this, this is the point that I'm trying to make, is that Lamar Jackson is responding to ESPN in Good Morning Football. He's literally watching debates on TV, then going to Twitter and fighting for himself. Like, this is exactly what an agent is for. Because as you're about to find out when I read these statements, it is not going well for Lamar Jackson. And it sounds like lately I've been bashing Lamar. I'm not. My thing with this show and Only Football with Rick, my thing is always, I'm just going to give you my opinion. And sometimes it may seem that I'm being hard on people, but I'm not going to like change my opinion just to sound like a nice guy. Like I do think, like, for instance, I think Hurts right now is worth a big contract extension. Like, I don't have anything against quarterbacks that can run. It's just the way he's going about it. And look at this. How ironic. I feel this way about a guy and he doesn't have an agent. You know? I mean, imagine if he had an agent saying all the right things about Lamar Jackson and tweeting all these things. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably have a different opinion about it if there was an agent involved, because he would be painting a different picture than Lamar is being painted. So this is his Twitter. He says, I don't remember me sitting out on my guys week 1 versus Jets to week 12 versus the Broncos regarding Lamar Jackson's injuries. He tweeted, how come all of a sudden I sit out because of money in which I could have got hurt at any time within that time frame? And we all know that the Super Bowl has been on my mind since April 2018. Jackson also added that playing injured would have only hurt his teammates. So this is kind of a case of which one is it, because you got him talking right here about not sitting out week 1 all the way to week 12. Okay. But then you also have him saying that he didn't want to play injured because it would have hurt his teammates. But there's just so much going back and forth right here. So on one side of it, you're looking at it and you're thinking, Lamar Jackson just admitted that he sat out most of the season because he didn't get paid. Okay. And then after he said that, he realized, oh shit, that sounds like a really bad thing to say publicly, especially to the other 56 guys in the locker room that maybe aren't happy with their contracts either, but still went out and played for the team. This is a team sport, not an individual sport. So then he goes back and he says, well, I'd rather have 100% PCL than go out there and play horrible, forcing myself to put my guys in a bad situation. That's selfish to me. Obviously, he tweeted that after he realized how bad that sounded. And you got to think, man, this guy, if he ever needed a real agent, it's now. It is right now. Since Jackson doesn't have an agent to spread the news, social media has become the mode that he's chosen to directly get his side of the story out. But the story is not complicated. It's not. Lamar Jackson wants to be an extremely high-paid player. He was offered last season 122, I think, 22 guaranteed, with a contract that was worth over $200 million. That 122 guaranteed was more than the Russell Wilson deal. It was more than the Kyler Murray deal. The only deal that it didn't come close to was the Cleveland Browns deal. And like I've said before, the Cleveland Browns, and, you know, if you're a Cleveland fan out there, I'm sorry, but they are not the gold standard of how business should be done in the NFL. And in my opinion, that was a terrible deal. And Lamar Jackson is not going to be happy until he gets offered one of those terrible deals. But the thing is, the type of franchise tag that he's under right now, it would have happened. A team would have come out, and right now, where Lamar Jackson sits, and you could say it's because he didn't play last year, which when that playoff game started and Lamar Jackson wasn't playing in it, you bet your ass you knew that his value was going to drop completely. Because first off, that's just the terrible look to see a person sitting out because he didn't like his contract. Because if it is really about winning a Super Bowl, then why would you sit out when you're only 3 games away from a Super Bowl? You're 3 wins in the wild card round from being in a Super Bowl, and you decide to sit out because of money. And you know what? You may not be happy with your contract extension or the whatever the case may be, but like I said, there's 55 other players on the team on the active roster that are going out, and Derek Wolfe was retiring. Like, you had players that every single year, if you follow this, every single year there's a player that's on his last year. There's like the Eagles in the Super Bowl this year. Remember the year last year with Ben Roethlisberger, with him, next to his boys after the playoff loss, that said, "I just wanted this really bad for you guys." These are the moments where the football game becomes bigger than a person. And Lamar Jackson does not have the epitome of leadership written on him. He is not somebody that you could feel completely comfortable with leading those 56 guys. Like Jalen Hurts, that's a guy that you feel that way about. You 100% could feel that way about Mahomes, Burrow. Lamar Jackson is too much of an individual, in my opinion, to be paid what he wants. There is a market for him. There's markets for individuals. Allen Iverson, one of my favorite basketball players of all time, was an individual. And individuals do really good with marketing. Their brands do really well. They sell. They're fun to watch. There are a lot of things, but what they all have in common, they don't win Super Bowls. Michael Vick didn't win a Super Bowl. Allen Iverson didn't win an NBA championship. Lamar Jackson hasn't hosted a Super Bowl yet, and he only has one season where he's thrown over 3,000 yards. In my opinion, the guy, if he wants to get paid the way he thinks he deserves to be paid, he needs an agent to get behind him, try to fix some of this stuff, repaint the canvas that he has tried over and over and over. It's like he's painting a picture, and instead of getting a new canvas, he just keeps painting on it, and painting on it, and painting on it, tweeting and tweeting and tweeting until it's just a complete mess. There's no clarity in the situation. He's gone back and forth on, just those tweets I read, you don't even know what he's saying. Because he's either saying that he didn't play because he wasn't paid, or he didn't play because he wasn't 100%. But it can't be both. And I think we all know what it is anyway. So it's dumb to even mention, because he wanted to say that when ESPN Good Morning Football this morning was saying Lamar Jackson's hurt too much, he wanted to come out and say, I wasn't playing because I wasn't paid. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't injured. But because he didn't play and he blamed it on his injury, well, now you have people saying that he was injured. So now the truth is coming out. No. I wasn't hurt. I'm not injury prone. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't playing because I wasn't paid. 5 seconds later, no, I wasn't 100%. I'm not selfish. I didn't want to hurt my teammates. Bro, get yourself an agent and do it like, I don't know, a year and 4 weeks ago, because it's time. The Titans have been in contract negotiations, or rumored to have been in trade negotiations, with Derrick Henry. And this has kind of backdated to last week. Well, the GM, Rand Carthen, rejected that. He said they were, and I quote, erroneous. So His exact words from the annual league meeting, and this just happened on Tuesday. So that's why we're getting a lot of this news out to you. He said, "There's nothing new to report. There was an erroneous report that came out. I've spoken to Todd France, Derek's representative. Look at that. Ding, 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 ding. And we're in a good place. So there's nothing new to report from there. I know Derek trains like crazy in the locations where he trains. I know the location. I don't want to put it out there, but Derek is going to be Derek. He's going to take his time away and do what he's got to do to make sure he's ready to go. So feel we're in a good place." Okay. Derek Henry not being traded. And I really, when the story was first broke last year, I thought to myself, this is not a guy that you want to trade. I mean, when you think about it, Derek Henry either made Ryan Tannehill look a lot better than he was, or Derrick Henry was completely just carrying that Tennessee Titans team. I think it's all the above, because you look at Derrick Henry's numbers. Not only does he run the ball 30 carries a game, 40 carries a game, I've even seen, but his average yards per carry goes up, which means I don't think it's Derrick Henry getting better as the game goes on. I think he's just a big guy, man. He's like 6'3", 240 pounds, but he's got speed. He wears out defenses, and by the end of the game, he's getting 4 or 5 yards a carry. It makes going on an 80-yard drive really easy when you can, get 5 yards every carry. It's a lot easier to convert on third down when it's 3rd and 2 every time. Derrick Henry has been a very key part of the Titans' success that they have had. And I know it hasn't been a ton of success, but hosting playoff games, being a first seed 2 years ago, making it to an AFC championship game. I believe they did 2 years ago after the cool, amazing Kansas City Buffalo divisional game. I think it was Tennessee that Kansas City played. But I think I also saw a stat that Patrick Mahomes has only played one road playoff game. It might be 0. Well, the one road, if there was one road, it might have been the Tennessee Titans AFC Championship game. So anyway, the Titans have had some success in the past, but they didn't have it last year. And I don't think there was a team that was depleted by injuries as much as Tennessee. I know the Broncos and the Chargers had a really bad injury year, but Tennessee was on a whole nother level with the injuries that they had. I mean, they were piling up, and Derrick Henry is literally the heart and soul of that team. And I know that running backs don't win MVP, but you could make a real argument that Derrick Henry probably could have won an MVP at maybe, besides last year, the last 2 years. But obviously, if a non-quarterback was going to win it 2 years ago, Cooper Kupp would have done it when he won the Triple Crown. But I think Derrick Henry won Offensive Player of the Year, something like that. So don't quote me on that. I'll have to check into that. But Derrick Henry not being traded, I think, is a good move. But we've seen running backs not really get paid. And that's because running backs tend to decline once they get some tread on the tires. And it's just easy to just get a, new young running back out of the draft. So it'll be interesting to see. Derrick Henry's kind of at that age where you don't want to give him like a huge new contract, but he's still got a lot of good ball probably left. Like, I feel like you could like almost guarantee 2 more years of 2,000 yards rushing from Derrick Henry. But after that, that's kind of when you start getting to that zone where he's definitely a good player that you want on your team, but he may not be, King Henry anymore. Kind of like what you're seeing happen to LeBron these last 2 years. So we'll be following that pretty closely. Marvin Jones is returning to the Lions on a 1-year, $3 million deal. Uh, I don't know if you guys remember, he was I think he wore number 11 for the Lions. We're going to be interviewing a Lions fan here pretty soon, so we'll talk to him about this for sure. But he played for the Lions from 2016 to 2020, and he's going to be returning back to the Lions. So Lions adding weapons. Obviously, DJ Chark last year had 30 catches, and uh, he's going to be replacing him. So that's at least the plan on paper. So Lions are still adding pieces, and we talked about it. Like all the big guys, all the big signings are already done. We've hit that part where there's not going to be a lot of signings anymore, because if there are teams that haven't gone after certain players, most likely it's because they're going to draft that position. I didn't expect Bobby Wagner to get a deal until after the draft, but he did end up getting a deal with the Seahawks. But things are definitely winding down right now, as ball clubs and front offices are shifting their focus to the draft. And now we're getting a lot of mock drafts and stuff like that. We talked about the Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, and Sam Darnold thing. And I made the comment that why even say that? Like, why even bring that up when I don't know, I think it was John Lynch, the general manager, said Brock Purdy's going to be the starting quarterback, but there's going to be a competition, but Brock Purdy has the advantage. I just thought it was such a stupid thing to say when you looked at Brock Purdy and what he did for that team when he came in, and averaging more points since he took over against the Dolphins with 12 minutes left in the first quarter. He averaged more points per game than the Chiefs, than the Bills, number one, 28.7, I believe. And the Chiefs were like 28.3. And he did it week after week. Even the playoff game against the Seahawks. Like, if you watch that game, that was just a regular normal game for the 49ers. Nothing crazy. They put up 41 points. They just effortlessly succeed uh, in scoring points under Brock Purdy. So the fact that you would even mention that Sam Darnold is going to be in some kind of competition, to me, is the stupidest thing I've heard all offseason. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what I was told my whole life. I don't feel like Brock Purdy is broke. He may have been injured, but he's not broke and there's nothing to fix. His injury was not an ACL, it's not an MCL. It's not like, a crazy, crazy injury. Yeah, he's going to have surgery, but he's going to be okay. They said he's expected to be healthy coming into the league. Coming into the next season after his elbow surgery. So they brought up during these meetings that I just told you happened on Tuesday. They asked them how they felt about moving up to get Trey Lance, and then it was the CEO, Jed York, not John Lynch. He said, "I wouldn't change anything that we've made about the decision with Trey. I think Trey has a chance to be great, but it's a bonus when you get somebody at the end of the seventh round that ends up coming in and being very impactful for your team." It's also the reason Kyle Shanahan was my coach of the year last year was because he somehow was able to keep Johnny Garoppolo on the team after saying he's moving in the direction of Trey Lance, and then after losing both of them, turned Brock Purdy into a great quarterback last season. So the way 49ers have been juggling this situation has been really impressive. And even comments like this. I mean, if you're reading this and you're Brock Purdy, you can't be mad at it. If you're reading this and you're Trey Lance, you can't be mad at it. They're really good at saying all good things about all of them at all times because nobody knows more than the 49ers. You don't shit where you sleep, because you may have to start one of these guys. Brock Purdy may get hurt and you have to put Trey Lance in. You don't want bad blood between these guys. So it'll be interesting to see Trey Lance and Brock Purdy in a QB competition because I don't feel like they have the same style of football. And if they really mean what they're saying, that Trey Lance can be great, Kyle Shanahan's offense is going to be the same. And Kyle Shanahan's a very systematic play caller. We got Bill in the chat. What's going on, Bill? He said, just ordered some Chinese food, cracking a White Claw. Love to see it. And he said, how about you? So, yeah, anyway, Kyle Shanahan, he calls plays, and why it worked with Brock Purdy so well is because Brock Purdy is going to just do what Kyle Shanahan says. Kyle Shanahan didn't even like when players roll out and do their own thing and run for 7 yards, like, oh, the pocket's collapsing, let me just run out. Kyle Shanahan's like, no, if you just stay in the pocket behind my amazing offensive line in 4 seconds, that receiver is going to run into that guy, and that's going to cause a pick, and this guy's going to be open. I'm an offensive genius. I already made the perfect play. Just trust the process, trust the play. Don't freak out and do your own thing and, extend the play and do something on the move. And that's why I think it worked so well for Brock Purdy, because he was literally just trusting the genius of Kyle Shanahan, staying in the pocket, putting the ball where exactly the way it was drawn up. And I don't know if Trey Lance can do that, because we've seen a little bit of Trey Lance, but a lot of running around and stuff like that as well. A lot of designed QB runs. So if they're going to do a QB competition, and I don't have the answer to this, but I would love to know, is the offensive, play calling going to be exactly the same for Trey Lance and Brock Purdy? Because I feel like that's the only way to truly evaluate who's better, is to see who's more efficient at the same plays. But I just don't see it happening that way. I just think Kyle Shanahan will call different types of plays with Trey Lance than he would with Brock Purdy. And if Trey Lance is as good as they're saying he is, then it's not really, it's not really about which quarterback is better. It's just about which quarterback you prefer. And that's going to be a really interesting storyline to follow. Which quarterback do you prefer? I think it's going to be Brock Purdy. I have to believe that Kyle Shanahan, because he has a very big ego, would prefer somebody that most the credit, even though Brock Purdy will still get, the credit he's due, just like Brady and Belichick, a lot of the credit will also go to the coach. When you think of players that scramble, roll out, do all this backyard football stuff, that coaches don't get credit for that kind of stuff. Coaches get credit for drawing up plays like Andy Reid does and stuff like that. Andy Reid and Mahomes are like a good mix, because Mahomes gets a lot of the credit, but then Andy Reid also gets an extraordinary amount of credit. And I think that relationship is, because of those two things, is going to be a good one for a really long time. It makes the relationship unique between them, where they both have something that they're bringing to the table, and you really can't put a finger on, who it is that, is great. You just know they're both really, really amazing. So, there is a draft strongest position group, weakest position group article that came out, as it normally does. So that's basically like the quarterbacks last year were pretty weak. So it's saying this year, the number one is cornerbacks. We saw 12 cornerbacks go in the first 3 rounds last year. Sauce Gardner. There might not be a Sauce Gardner in this year's class, but there appears to be a higher number of players who will be starters. In fact, there will be big, long, explosive perimeter cornerbacks. Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon will be the first 2 drafted at the position. but we may see 5, even 6 taken in the first round. So what's up, Diggs? Good to have you in with us. Hope you're having a good day. Good night, rather. So cornerback. So if you are a firm need a cornerback, this is the draft to get one, according to this article. Number 2, tight end. And they're saying that this is one of the more promising classes that they've seen in a while. Michael Myers out of Notre Dame, I believe. Or no, that's Michael Mayer. Let me double check. Yep, out of Notre Dame. He's going to be a freaking stud. That I'm pretty sure about, along with this article. Luke Musgrave, Dalton Kincaid, Darnell Washington are the most well-known prospects, but there should be starting caliber players like Luke Schoonmaker, Tucker Kraft, Sam Laporta, and Brendan Strange. That'd be a cool guy to have in your team, Strange. Some out-of-town Strange. Number 3, edge rusher, obviously, Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson. But this is interesting. Number 5, so it's only ranked out of 5 for the strongest, but quarterback. So last year's class was pretty bad. As you remember, the only quarterback taken in the first round was Kenny Pickett, who turned out to be fine. Not, amazing, but definitely serviceable. But this year, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and Hendon Hooker. Those could all potentially go off the board, at least 4 of them in the first 10 picks. So a lot of new faces. And I think that's also low-key. This is a huge reason why Lamar Jackson hasn't found interest in teams. If he would have done what he's doing this year, last year, when the best quarterback was Kenny Pickett, there would have been some teams that would have jumped on that. But there's too many teams that will rather roll the dice with a super cheap Bryce Young, CJ Stroud than they will an expensive Lamar Jackson. So just kind of a matter of luck, really. It's like if you're a wide receiver and your contract's coming up, like next year, there's a lot of great receivers that are all going to be available. It's insane. Then you really, it's just about the market. If there's not a lot of receivers available like there is this year, you might overpay for Christian Kirk. And we saw Jacksonville do that with a couple players. So anyway, here are some of the weak spots. So interior defensive lineman, interior offensive lineman, offensive tackle, running back, number 10, safety, linebacker, number 11. So if your team needs help with your O-line or D-line or linebacker and safety, not a good year. But cornerback is number 1. It seems like it's going to be like the Oprah show. You get a cornerback, you get a cornerback, everyone's going to get a cornerback. Tight ends, a lot of great tight ends are going to be available. I expect Sean Payton with the Broncos to draft the next Taysom Hill, whoever that will be, somebody that only Sean Payton knows about. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton drafts one of these tight ends in the second round. So it's just something to keep in mind as we move forward to draft. And I wanted to ask big, long, explosive. Yeah, Ginge caught that. Bill said in the 2024 draft, supposed to be rich with good QBs from what people are saying. Yeah, and you also have USC's Caleb. Why am I drawing a blank on his last name? Caleb, USC. Caleb Williams. Why does that sound wrong? No. Okay, Caleb Williams, who they're saying will be the next Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see about that. But You guys have any questions or anything like that? That was like most of the news today that I figured to catch you guys up on. So to summarize, Derrick Henry won't be traded. Lamar Jackson needs an owner. Aaron Rodgers is eventually going to be a Jet, hopefully, and the Jets are being optimistic and patient, even though rich people hate being patient. And the 49ers have no regrets about getting Trey Lance. And then here's the latest signings. I'm going through here, seeing if there's anything that's popping off the screen. I already went over Marvin Jones. LSU defensive tackle. Jacqueline Roy is scheduled to meet with the team next week for Philadelphia. Alex Bars re-signs with the Raiders. Cam Smith, a potential first-round pick out of South Carolina, visited the Chiefs Wednesday. The Chiefs looking to get themselves a cornerback in the first round. You heard it here first. Jinja in the chat saying, I hope Will Anderson is there at 4 and we suck again next year and grab Caleb Williams. Oh my God. Man. Last time you guys tanked, you got Andrew Luck. So I think you guys got good stuff. He said, Bill said Kyler retweeted a video on turf. I thought it was pretty cool. You might want to check it out. Overview on different types of injury results of different games. Yeah, I definitely will. Let me see. Bill. Here you go. Tweets. Oh, I got it right here. Good breakdown. We've been hearing the word turf for so many years. This is a good primer on the subject. Yeah, I'll look into that right after we get done with this. So, what was this? I saw underneath Bill underneath where you wrote that it said I saw Tom Grassi, but I didn't actually read it all the way. And as I closed it, what I thought I read was like follow me as I go live and drink with Aaron Rodgers. And I was like, what? And then I went back and he was like, drink and talk about Aaron Rodgers. Like, okay. I was about to say, damn, Grassi, I know you're moving up, but talk about taking the elevator, not the stairs, man. He says the grass versus turf was as heavy right now. Manophile almond versus split weave and all. They say all the players like grass better. LOL. Oh, about the Aaron Rodgers thing. Yeah, so I know when who was it? Dalvin Cook out of Florida State. My buddy's like diehard Florida State, and I asked him, I was like, why is Dalvin Cook always hurt? And this was before the turf thing came up. I mean, turf has been talked about loosely, but I would say the public being fully aware is like kind of a recent thing. And I would say this was about 3 years ago. And without hesitation, he was like, turf. He's a grass guy, never played on turf. And I went and looked at his injuries. They're all on turf. And I'm like, wow, that is so crazy. And it just seems like, with the amount of money the NFL has, it shouldn't be that difficult to get grass. Like the Broncos' new owner came in, the Walmart guy, and he spent like $400,000 or something. No, it was like millions on Bermuda grass. Like we already had pretty grass. He just wanted better grass. Denver Broncos new grass. I put Denver Broncos new grass. I'm probably going to get a pot store. Oh, 400,000. Yeah, I was right. The first step was spending $400,000 to replace the grass. They spent 400 G's on grass. And I'm trying to see what kind of grass it was. It is Not going to tell me what kind of grass it is. I'm pretty sure it was, I'm like 100% sure actually. It was Bermuda grass, but I don't know exactly why I remember that. It was like, even remembering the 400,000, like why did that stick so hard? Probably because I thought that's a lot of money to spend on grass. But dude, everybody's got money to spend on grass. Like the fact that we're even having this talk is just, it's not, it doesn't look any better. As far as like the nostalgia of football, like smelling fresh cut grass, is seeing grass stains on jerseys when you buy them. Ginger said, even if you spend 20 million a year maintaining your grass, it would be worth it. You're investing in a lot of money in the players. You want them to be healthy. Yeah, dude. And plus, $20 million is like pennies to these people. And I really don't think if you're spending $20 million in your grass, I guarantee you that there are a lot of diehard Bronco fans, for example, that own their own landscaping company that would love to take care of the Broncos grass for $100,000 a year. Chemicals and stuff like that, sure. But you're saying 20 million. Well, you said even if you spend 20 million, but I don't even think that's, if you're spending that much, then you're just flexing. Like I'm telling you, the Broncos got Bermuda grass. Like it got shipped in. It was the most gorgeous grass I've ever seen, and it was only 400,000 for all of it. I say only, but I thought in my head like that maybe that would cost millions. Only 400 grand. So what are they doing? They're taking care of the players, and they have the best grass in the league now. So those are just the perks that you get when your owner owns Walmart. You get $400,000 grass. And I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll show you. This is what it looks like. That's real. That's real grass. Insane. Absolutely insane. But tomorrow we got trivia, so definitely come back for some trivia. Me and Rick have been going back and forth about the questions we're going to do and stuff like that. Super excited about the trivia. It's like as we continue to do the trivia, I have come to love it more and more every time we do it. So we got 27 days until the 20. How many days are in March? 31? Yep, 31. So we got 27, 20. We got 29 days until the draft starts. And Juju said, I have to have a way better showing tomorrow night. LOL. I was bad last week. Dude, I watch football. You guys know I live stream all the games pretty much. And I get like maybe 2 of the questions right. It's just not about even knowing football. It's just random information that shouldn't it, like it's like if you know the answer to that, it's like why do you know that? But yeah, it's it's all fun, so don't take it too serious. I know like people would be in the comments and after they got one wrong or something, I would be like, oh, you missed it, and then they would comment like, oh, I'm just playing for fun, I don't really care. And it's like, I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm just reacting for the sake of reacting. I'm not actually like, you should be mad that you got it wrong. Just have fun and chill and just enjoy the vibes. Just for the lulz, Jinja. I tanked the combine one. But you were also the only one playing, so you were the only one that came in live, I believe, that episode. So I was just so grateful that somebody was there. Because otherwise I was going to have to read the questions and just not do the answers and have to upload comments or something of the answers. So I'm going to be back on Monday. So when you see our next recording, not trivia, but me and Rick back together on Monday, I will be back in the studio. I'm flying back on Monday. Let me see what time I land. Because when I get to the airport, I was going to hit up Bill. Here we go. Flight. Just so. Flight. Here it is. I'm trying to see. There. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Oh, no, it went away. Well, hopefully it doesn't land too late at night. But if it does, then I might be in the airport. Or even cooler, I'll do it on the plane. Bill said, I love the trivia. I love the trivia nights. It's just, I can't be there sometimes. Totally understand. And it's totally cool because we know that you guys will just comment when you do hear it. It's important that we put the video out there, not as much important for, there to be a bunch of people there, because we just want to be your form of entertainment. And the whole idea of entertainment is not to put pressure on people. It's for you to just it's just for us to be there when you're ready. You know what I mean? Whenever you're in the mood, taking a shit, whatever the case is, that's what we're there for. We're there for you to forget that you need to wipe because you've been sitting for 10 minutes and your legs are falling asleep. So definitely tune in tomorrow. We're going to be going live for trivia. And if you can't, just follow the video, put it in the comments. Be a friend, tell a friend, as Pat McAfee would say. And you guys have a great night. Unless you got anything last to put in the comments, that would wrap it up for Only Football with Kyle. Ginger's saying the YouTube shorts are getting some good views. That's awesome to see. Yeah, the algorithm's starting to kick in on our behalf. Definitely. I'm glad that you guys will always be our day ones. Day one OGs of the Only Football podcast. You saw the Instagram one got 1 million views. That was pretty cool. Yep. Yeah. And it's off season too. So imagine how much once NFL season starts, I think even like during draft week, people are going to start tuning into football more. They're going to start finding their new football home for the next season. So, Jane just said, have a good night, man. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bill said, now that I know you're making the shorts, I go looking for them. They come up on my YouTube feed. Wow, dude, that's awesome. That makes me so freaking jacked. All right. Man, I can just picturing the other people seeing our videos on their shorts feed, just very motivating, very encouraging. It's working. Trust the process. All right. You guys have a great night. Get some sleep. And we will see you guys tomorrow for trivia night. And until then, go Broncos. See you.